because she's an attorney and they're supposed to uphold the law. That's the crazy thing. As we've seen with her personal record as a DA, what she has tried to do is decriminalize everything. She doesn't want to hold people accountable. She doesn't want to hold up and stand up for the law. And she's doing it with herself too. She feels like prosecutor who has been making the rounds on national TV, Marilyn Mosby. Not sure if you guys have seen her begging the Biden administration to pardon her. So she was found guilty here in Baltimore City for mortgage fraud. She was the worst prosecutor we probably ever had. Crime rose under her to exponential heights under this woke prosecutor. Her name again is Marilyn Mosby. She was the worst, the absolute worst. One of these George Soros prosecutors. We have been pushing and sounding the alarm on her since 3 years ago. I was actually looking at some of our old videos today, almost brought tears to my eyes, and we were going in on this woman back in 2020,
2021,
I think she came into office in 2015, I believe. But when she came in, it's been horrible under her. Murders rose. She was trying to decriminalize a lot of crime here in Baltimore City. She was here for, was it 1 term or 2 terms? I think it was
two terms.
2 terms. She was here for 2 terms and was running for re-election. Thank God they did not vote her back in. We have a new district attorney, Ivan Bates. He's still Democrat, but he's much better. He at least enforces the laws that we have. But now, again, she's going around on media begging the Biden administration to pardon her. Take a look here. This is her on Al Sharpton's broadcast this week. And I mean, she is just, the lies that this woman is telling it's remarkable. Again, this is their MO. Her, Biden, Kamala Harris, they just lie. The lies just roll off their tongue. And these stupid interviewers do not push back against the lies. I'm here.
Attorney Marilyn Mosby.
Mosby
is facing possible prison time when she goes for sentencing later this month after being convicted of mortgage fraud and perjury. Prosecutors are asking for a 20-month sentence. Mosby's lawyers argue she's been the victim of a political payback for her work as a prosecutor, including a role in charging 6 police officers.
She needs to be paid back.
The death of Freddie Gray in Baltimore back in 2015. Joining me now is Marilyn Mosby, former state's attorney for Baltimore. Ms. Mosby, thank you for being with us. And I might add that the civil rights groups like National Action Network, following NAACP and others, have made this plea without any urging from you. It is our review of what has happened. I just want to be clear that you, to my knowledge, have not lobbied. I know you didn't lobby me. Anyone in there. Your lawyers are asking for probation rather than prison time in this case. They say your offenses amount to personal misconduct. Prosecutors argue you abused emergency law meant to help people suffering financial hardship during a pandemic when
she was found guilty.
Were unemployed. What's your response to the pleas around?
I've done nothing wrong.
I'm incredibly, as you already indicated, I'm grateful and humbled by the support of the community, and especially from you, Reverend Al Sharpton, and the National Action Network, the 13 other national civil rights organizations, as you've already indicated, National Urban League, Fair and Just Prosecution, Color of Change, and NAACP. It means the world to me. Of the community. My hope is that President Biden and Vice President Harris are listening. It's my honor to show up. It was my honor to show up for them. I need them to show up for me.
Oh gosh, you do your job,
Reverend Al. And you get this more than anything else, that I'm being penalized. I'm being penalized for fighting for justice. I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing illegal and nothing criminal. My actions were entirely legal and above the board. And as you've already indicated, they're asking for 20 months, but the judge has the discretion of going above the sentencing guidelines or below them. And I'm facing 40 years in prison for
lock her up under the jail, is my opinion. Put her under the jail. And she's still using race. She's saying it's politically driven, which it's not. We'll get into that. But one thing I want to get and say before I get you on here, Shelly, do you see her posture now? She's so soft-spoken. I want to thank you, Dr. Reverend Al Sharpton. When here in Baltimore, she was so verbose, so boisterous, so smug throughout her reign of terror as the DA here in Baltimore City. And now she's coming across as this meek and soft-spoken woman. Please pardon me. Stand up for me like I stood up for you. Yeah, right. Shelly, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, I want to kind of correct what you said about these interviewers. Number one, they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not challenging the Bidens and the Mosbys because they are all in the same, clique, if you will. They're not going to challenge them. So they know exactly what they're doing. Number one. Number two, I think she's phony myself. I think her demeanor is phony. However, if I were in her shoes, I would probably be doing the same thing, asking for a pardon or a reduction or whatever. That would be anybody in her situation, whether right, left, up or down, whether you agree with their politics or not. So I don't fault her for that. She still denies because she's not really challenged, so she doesn't really have to. So I'm not even going to say denies. I'll say she downplays the charges that she was found guilty.
She goes on in this interview to say she's done nothing wrong. She's done nothing different than millions of people across the country.
I don't fault her for saying that either. I don't fault her for saying that because that's her belief. Again, as much as I detest Marilyn Mosby as a prosecutor, that is her belief. That is what she is entitled to believe, whether or not the charges are what they are. The charges are on the record. She can believe what charges.
She was convicted and found guilty.
Exactly. And she can still believe that she's not. What is there to argue about? She can. I'm not going to change her beliefs. You're not going to change it. And certainly Al and whatever, they're not going to change her beliefs. That's number two. Number three. Again, I did not vote for Marilyn Mosby. I actually, I've commented against her. We talked about her, but I do not believe that she deserves 40 years and she won't get 40. I know she won't get 40. She will not get 40 years. She should not get 40 years. Should she get some jail time or will she? She probably will. She probably will. Other state and elected leaders have gotten jail time in Baltimore. Catherine Pugh, Cheryl Glenn, they served time and they were elected leaders in Baltimore and for the city. She probably will get some time. This pity pardon thing she's going on, I don't fault her for doing that because anybody.
Do you believe she should be pardoned?
No, I don't think she should be pardoned. I don't think she should be pardoned, but I don't fault her for asking.
First of all, it's not about her being faulted, whether or not being faulted for asking. I'm not surprised she's asking because this woman has the gall to do all sorts of things. But she left out the fact that she absolutely committed the crime. The conversation was recorded with the mortgage official. She was recorded asking them to break the law.
You're right. She said she was asking questions. It came out in court. The transcripts. The mortgage guy said that he did something wrong, messed up the paper. But I understand that.
Yeah,
I understand all that. I still don't fault her for asking.
It's no dispute there. She did it for personal gain. She lied about that. She was claiming on the mortgage application that she had a personal financial stress. We can see she actually got an increase in her salary. Right. And then she used the money that she defrauded to profit from a rental property in Florida. Now, how do you want to spin it? That is what she did.
I don't know. That's what she did. That's what she did. But let me tell you, this is my personal, never to be humble opinion. Personally, That's her money. She's right. That was her retirement money. Millions of people borrow from their retirement funds every year in America. That is not illegal to do.
That's not what she did.
She borrowed against her retirement and used her retirement money to fund rental homes or whatever.
Listen, I am not saying there are always procedures and guidelines on how you can do everything. For instance, you have certain savings accounts, certain things on where you have to have a certain amount of money in your account. You cannot withdraw all the money. I mean, there's rules.
I get that.
It's your money, but there's certain ways you can do it. They do this because it's to protect the way they save and accrue money.
And that's my point, KJ. That's my point. The underlying
She's trying to game the system.
No, it's not. To me, I hear what you're saying. I noticed what she did. The underlying premise for me is that why do we even need the government to manage our money anyway? That's my underlying premise.
The premise
no, it's not. No, I'm not. That's my underlying premise.
The premise you're making, you can make that, but it's really not relevant.
Yes, it is to me. Yes, it is. It's an underlying premise that why do we have to have the government managing and telling our retirement funds? Why do we need the government to set up retirement funds for us? Period. I hear what you're saying.
She worked for the government.
Even if you don't work for the government can still manages a lot of our money. That's been my underlying principle. And again, I'm not saying that she did not, according to the court testimony, whatever. I'm not saying that she did not, I guess, follow the rules, what was laid out. I'm just questioning and challenging the underlying premise. Again, to me, it's back to too much government in our lives. Most of our money, if you will, particularly when it's related to retirement accounts or certain IRAs, they are regulated, heavily regulated. And that is my underlying angst with this. I'm not saying that she did not, quote unquote, break the rule or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, why is the government that involved in our money? Why do we need them to manage our money to this point? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying she didn't do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying she should not be prosecuted. I'm just challenging the underlying principle of the government intrusively in our lives at every turn of our heads. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. And why does she have to, let me see what this person is saying. So this was a retirement fund. She took the money as a hardship and wasn't in a hardship. The reason she chose hardship was not to pay taxes on the withdrawal.
Okay.
I see. Okay.
I see.
Okay. So she's saying, or he's saying, that the penalty is because she tried to avoid the taxes. So you're saying this shouldn't be taxed?
No, I'm saying that the government shouldn't be this heavily involved in our money, in our lives. That's all I'm saying. We pay we will pay taxes. You're going to pay taxes, whatever. We're going to pay taxes on something. I'm just saying that the government, to this degree, I don't believe, and I don't feel, if you want to use that, I don't believe that she won't get 40 years and she shouldn't get 40 years. Yes,
no, everybody's saying she's going to get 40 years. Or what?
Yeah, but again, I do not fault her as a human, from a human perspective. I do not fault her for going around the country pleading her case. I don't fault her for that.
Right. Well, I mean, again, she's asking for a pardon. I hope she doesn't get it. But generally for a pardon, there is an expression of forgiveness. Ordinarily it's granted in recognition of the person who's being pardoned, acceptance of responsibility for the crime. She has shown time and time again that she is not responsible for this. She does not take any type of accountability for it. She has not recognized or accepted any responsibility for it. So I don't understand how she should be given a pardon.
I don't think that's the criteria. I gotta look it up. I'm not saying you're wrong. For a pardon would basically mean, like your record is wiped clean, like you didn't do it. It sounds like what you're saying is probation. Probation.
No. I'm taking a pardon, a president's pardon.
Okay.
Is ordinarily granted in recognition of the person's acceptance of responsibility for it. They've had some type of time they've actually done.
Yeah, but normally people who are pardoned,
normally
people who are pardoned have they say they didn't do it.
Period of time after the conviction or completion of the sentence. So it's generally something like that. They say, you know, they've done some of their act. We're gonna pardon them for whatever for the rest of the time or whatever. Get out of jail free card, whatever.
Right.
But we'll see. Honestly, I have no sympathy for this woman at all. Once again, she has come across like, and this is the posture we see a lot of these Democrats do, where they never take accountability for anything that they do. And they don't feel people should be accountable unless they're male white man. If they're white male, then they should hold the burden of crimes they've done and crimes that their ancestors and everybody else has done. You know, but these Democrats, they take no accountability for anything that they've done. She has continued here as she goes on this media begging spree. She continues to place the blame on politics and on a race.
And Trump.
Right. She continues to do that, you know, which makes absolutely no sense.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So if she was remorseful and if she, you know, took responsibility, you know, self-accountability, and she still asked for a pardon, would you have some mercy for her?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Because again, it shows that you know, she has some reflection on what she did. You know, to me, that would be the first thing that I would do if I was asking for a pardon. I would come out and I would say, you know what? I did do this. I was trying to skirt the system. Even if she says, you know what, it is my money, but I did it the wrong way. Yeah, I did it and I illegally did it. But she doesn't want to do that because she's an attorney and they're supposed to uphold the law. That's the crazy thing. They are supposed to uphold the law. But as we've seen with her personal record as a DA, what she has tried to do is decriminalize everything. She doesn't want to hold people accountable. She doesn't want to hold up and stand up for the law. And she's doing it with herself too. She feels like she should be able to skirt it.
Well, in that sense, I guess she's consistent.
Oh, she certainly is. Oh, she certainly is. That's why I don't feel sorry for her. I don't feel sorry for her. She has no reflection. You know, and even she doesn't even get the old, you know, I get what you're saying because you're a libertarian type of person and whatever. I kind of get what you're saying coming from you. She's not. She believes the government should be, you know, responsible for everything. She's a Democrat.
Well, she does believe that, but I don't believe that, and that's why
you don't.
No, I'm saying that's why I'm consistent, regardless of what her politics. Right, exactly.
At least you're consistent. She is not. So that's why I don't see how how it's applicable to put that type of reasoning on her when she doesn't even believe it. That was not her goal or her intention when she defrauded the government. It wasn't.
I hear what you're saying. I know that, but this is not just, I wouldn't say it's my body of politics, if you will. This is just, it's the politics or the, I don't know if you will, the philosophy that I hold, and I would apply it to anybody, regardless of whether or not I agree with their politics.
Right. Well, I see what you're saying. I don't think it applies here, but I see what you're saying there. I do. So we will move on. We'll